Hey everybody, Martin Chuck here, and welcome to episode 17 of Modern Golf with Martin Chuck. I don't know about you, I just like the way that sounds. But anyway, welcome to the Garage Dojo here, and guess what? It's an exciting week in golf, US Open week, and I'm digging it. I mean, I just got back in town. I was doing a little traveling gig. I was in Austin, Texas. I'd never been to Austin, Texas before. Shout out to that place, the Omni Resort in Austin, Texas. The golf course is Barton Creek. They've got 4 golf courses, fantastic. I thought I was in Hawaii, actually. I know it sounds crazy that you are in Hawaii and Texas. Yeah, there's no ocean, Martin, I get it. But it's like hill country. It was hilly and it was lush and it was beautiful. Anyway, the golf courses were great. The hotel was great. And my student, darn it, he got better. That was fantastic. So let's talk this week. Let's talk some US Open right now. I got my phone here. Patrick Reed. You know, everybody says to me, Martin, who's your pick? Who's your pick this week? What do you got? Well, Patrick Reed did not come up my radar. Maybe because he kind of irritates me and I don't think of him very often. I mean, obviously, when he plays in the Ryder Cup, I'm like, okay, the guy's got lots of heart. And he's still a pain in the butt, but he gets points for the U.S., which is fantastic. He's in there fighting away, and I like his chances. He's 4 under. The guy is, he hits it far enough. But what X factor does he have? There's an interesting thing about the U.S. Open. One of my coaches, Aaron Olson, posted yesterday, somebody said, oh, Rory's not a grinder because Rory got off to a start birdie, bogey, 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 double bogey yesterday. And he shot 6 over par, and I think he's tied 7th or whatever it is. Or no, wait, tied 22nd. He's in the fray. Anybody who made the cuts in the fray. But somebody had the audacity to say that Rory's not a grinder. Anybody that plays golf that you've heard of, anybody that's a 3 or 4 handicap's a grinder. Golf by nature, you don't just kind of hit it in the rough and go, okay, I'm going to go make a double bogey. No, you figure out a way to kind of get it by the green and hopefully get it up and down. Now, maybe you lack a certain skill set that maybe might disqualify you from being the category of grinder. Well, Patrick Reed's going to show us some grind, people, because he's going to miss fairways. He's going to chip it short of the green or hack it short of the green from the rough. And he'll get up and down a reasonable percentage of the time. In that top grouping, you have Bryson DeChambeau. So he's trying to reinvent golf right now with his super high-speed bombs. He flew a couple of golf balls, I want to say 330 or 40. You're like, Martin, you're telling me this. I know that. I've been watching the U.S. Open. But it's interesting, he's kind of figured some of these holes out. And he's hitting it. I mean, if you're going to hit it in the rough, you may as well hit it in the rough 350 yards rather than 280 yards. Let's face it. Because the more loft you have hacking it out of the long grass, the better off you are. So this will be interesting. You got kind of the golf Frankenstein, the scientist-made golfer coming up here in second place in DeChambeau. Rafael Cabrera Bello probably should be maybe an underwear model. Okay, the guy's super fit, yoked. He looks good out there. I think he's going to fade like underwear will. They won't last over time. You got to get new ones. I hope he does and plays really well, but I don't see him playing well into the weekend. Harris English is having a bit of a resurgence in golf, playing well. I'm not sure who his coach is. Yeah, I know he had a little coaching change, so maybe he got the proverbial, hey man, you're really talented, kick in the butt talk. A lot of guys need that. And so he's right there at T3. Justin Thomas, you got to love him. He's going to grind. He's kind of got that chip on his shoulder kind of guy, a little bit like Patrick Reed, but just not quite that thing that's tucked in the back of your pants back here. He's not quite like that, but he's got that chip in the shoulder, just a bit more pleasant version. Kokrak, the name, Jason Kokrak can crack it. He's a long bomber. Thomas Peters is a bomber. Shoffley, there's another guy. Double bogey's his last hole yesterday, or he's 2 under par, and he's really in the discussion. But should be good. My pick going into the week was Matthew Wolff. So Matthew Wolff, where's he on the old screen here? I want to say he's up here reasonably well. Matthew Wolff, where are you? Yeah, he's T7. He's even par, so not too bad. Of course, my perennial favorite, Rory McIlroy, struggled yesterday, but he's in there. I'm going to put my phone down here. But let's talk about grinding. Then we're going to get into our topic, the pushing through the plateau. Like, why do you get stuck? Why are you stuck at a certain level? Maybe you even take lessons. We'll talk about that. But this great post by Aaron Olson yesterday is, is a grinder somebody who just hits it crooked and can chip and putt really well? Is that a grinder? Well, a grinder is somebody that has a skill set to say, okay, I've got a short-term memory. I just hit a bad shot. That's fine. Maybe my shot's behind a tree, Phil Mickelson. Maybe my shot's in the rough, Tiger Woods. Now, can I get this ball from where it is right now, somewhere by the green, and use a skill that I've developed to get the ball in the hole and maybe convert a 6-8 foot putt? So think about that. You need skills to surround yourself in golf to be effective. And in this episode, we'll talk a bit about that. We've got some special guests. And again, last week, sorry, we had some problems with the stream. This week, we're going to duplicate some of this early bit just because I am, and I think you'll enjoy it. But like pushing through the plateau, where you are in golf, maybe why you're not getting better, some of those mental hurdles. And I'm just going to talk to you from a coaching perspective, what I see coaching you. And to me, it's mildly comical, actually. And you'll probably go, well, that's not me, but trust me, it's you, because that's the comical part. If you don't think it's you, it's probably you. So let's go, what is a performance plateau, right? Performance plateau, maybe you are the lifelong 14 handicapper. You've played, you're a member at the club, or maybe you play in the men's league, you get around and you shoot 82 to 90 every time you play, and you can't quite get past that 82. So you start thinking about golf a little bit. Okay, what does it take to break 80? Okay, so you got to make, obviously you can make 8 bogeys on most golf courses, right? And then, maybe, let's just say you hit, and I haven't really sketched all this out, I'm just talking, we're just having a little coffee talk here because it's early here, my coffee's over there, hopefully you've enjoyed your coffee. But to break 80, now that's a great number and that's really good golf. Now some golfers that have crushed that plateau like me, 80 is kind of a frustrating number for me because if I put my choices in perspective when I play golf, I make committed swings, I do my business the right way, 80 is a number I should never get to. It should be a number that lives closer to the low 70s, even into the 60s, okay? Tour players, they do their business the right way. Maybe 72 is the high end of their number, maybe 62 is the low end of their number. Now you guys, think about this. Are you fast enough to play the golf course? That's an important question. If you're fast enough to play the golf course, okay, say you swing it, the average male, 85, 90 miles an hour. Okay, 85, 90 miles an hour means you can fly it somewhere in the 210 range and run it out to 240. And I know many of you are saying, yep, that's me, I got that. I swing it 90 miles an hour, check it out, right? A lot of you are lying to yourself, which is fine, okay? You know what, I've been 5'11" my whole life and probably 5'9". But anyway, here's my joke. Once we're true to ourselves, we know what our abilities are, now we can really sketch out how to play this golf course. I'm going to talk about training plateaus too and technique. But if say you have a speed of 90 miles an hour, 88 miles an hour, perfect, okay? That golf ball can chip out there 230, 240 yards off the tee. Think about the tees you play. If you play the whites or a combo thereof, whites and blues, okay, most men play the white or blue tees. Now if you're over 60, play the whites, you've earned it. Okay, you've navigated life long enough to get to 60, good. Move up to the white tee, okay? Now, say you can bump it off the tee that far. Most holes, there's only going to be 2 of them on the golf course, par 4s, 2 of them, that are going to be north of 400 yards, right? So you're going to hit a ball 210, 220 out there. Now you're going to have another long shot into the green. You're not going to hit that green. So there's 2 greens right off the get-go you're not going to hit, okay? Now you're going to have a bunch of par 3s and 4s that you can hit in regulation. You can, not to say you will. But let's say, for example, maybe you take your stats and you can get on 5 or 6 greens, right? So you can get on 6 greens. Here's your deal. You can't 3-putt those greens. Let's take those pars, okay? And let's put those pars right there. So we're even par for 6 holes. Now, let's assume you kind of blade a 7-iron nicely, gets up to 4 feet, and you make a birdie. Way to go. And then we're going to give you one 3-putt that goes, you're 65 feet and you hit it 8 feet past and you miss it. You're still even par for 6 holes. Here's what you have to do now. You're going to put that chin strap on. You're going to muscle up because you've got 12 holes now to try to negotiate whether you get up and down or not. Okay, so think about some guy who wants to be a really good performer who's maybe, I'm going to say 62 years old, okay, who wants to break 80. What does he really, or she, what does she really have to do to become a BA, a badass? They got to get really good chipping and pitching the golf ball onto the green and converting some up and downs. I'll tell you, Jackson Chuck played in a tournament, okay, recently. first actual stroke play event. I don't know if you follow my social media at all, but my son can swing a golf club. It's pretty cool. You're like, yeah, you're a golf coach. You know, and we don't talk much technique, honestly. I think kids just kind of watch and observe. So, you know, my son's got this nice grip. He sets up to it. He's got this waggle. He moves the club, thwap. He doesn't miss it. Now, he's not a big dude. He's about almost 80 pounds. He drives at about 170 to 200 yards every time. Really doesn't miss a fairway because he hits it pretty straight. And when you don't hit it that far, you know, the deviation from a perfect shot doesn't go out of play at that distance. So he's always in place. He's sort of far. He had to play from the most forward tees at a golf course. It was the lady tee. Well, the golf course was a little bit long for him, okay? He's used to being and playing the US kids tees. He can drive it, you know, 170 darn near by the green and get it on or really close. Usually gets it on the green because his full swings and his iron strikes are really nice. What happened in his junior golf tournament? Guess what? He hit a good driver, he hit a good iron shot, and now he's got this, you know, 25-yard pitch that was kind of unaccustomed to that, and it led to a lot of chip-ons to 20 feet and 3 putts. Okay, so it was he had a different environment that as a coach, well, I don't overcoach him, I coach him a little bit. I didn't really prepare him enough for what he had to face as a golfer. So he had scores. He shot 55 the first day, which was crushing for him. He was okay. And he shot 49 the second day. But if the ball strike, you saw the ball striking components of it, it was great. The pitching and putting components of it weren't so good because he wasn't comfortable in that environment. So as a golfer, kind of breaking through scoring plateau or a technique plateau, let's really identify what it is that you need to develop. And most of you guys are stuck in some beliefs and thoughts that are really going to limit your success. You know, like I said, I had these 3 great days with this dude in Austin, okay? And he was supposed to come out to Phoenix, and because COVID, couldn't travel. He's got this high-level gig, and they don't let him travel. So I went and saw him. My wife lets me travel. Anyway, I go to Austin. Here he is, good athlete, strong fella, and he's hitting pitch shots like this. And he's like, how'd I do? And I'm like, well, why don't you take a look and see how you did? He goes, well, I'm trying to keep my head down. And so he's played golf 10 years in this paradigm of keeping his head down, right? Like I said, and you've heard this, I'm a broken record, I know, but the guy did not really understand how to move his body. He didn't really understand that in order to offset all the down in golf, to manage this low point, to be reliable, to take a golf club, to clip the ball, intersect the ball in the turf and move this thing nicely, that it's okay for a body to rotate, relocate, and for the heart to go to the sky. Okay, boobies up, not down. So this guy was kind of stuck face down. He didn't rotate and relocate, and guess what? It took a few days of me giving him a hard time, needling him, cajoling him, teasing him, having fun with him, showing him befores and afters, explaining these things, for he finally was able to go, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I see what you mean. Because he was the guy. He hit it reasonably far off the tee. He hit a reasonable shot by the green. Now guess what? He had these pars right here. He had these 6. They're right there. He's gonna have those every round. Okay, he's gonna hit 6 greens, but he's gonna miss 12. And now, you know, sure, you may have a disaster off the tee. You may hit it out of play, and it goes, you know, especially at Barton Creek, you could hit it, you know, you could hit it in a creek easy. That's the creek. And they had all kinds of these wee little oak trees every which way. You could hit it in the trees and, you know, have to punch out sideways. So you can have disasters, guys, but if you can manage yourself and push through the reality of where your deficit is, the reality of it, and we'll go through a couple of clients today, you can be really good, okay? Let's crack to one video. Let's go to the toboggan video, if we can, producer Steve. I want to show you this video, okay? Here's this kid going down the hill, right? Whee! Okay, say it with me. Ready? Whee! It's fun. Okay, here he goes going down the hill. And he come back up the hill and going down the hill. Guess what he's doing, you guys? He's creating a groove. This is a rut, right? He's got one of those old red flyers. Those are cool. I never had one of those. My parents, because that's what they were afraid I'd do, right? Going in the trees over there. With this hard head, I don't think I'd hurt myself. But this kid is creating a rut. That rut, you can kind of see his feet. The toboggan is in that rut. Now here's the tricky part of that. You can cut that video, Steve, because this analogy, I think you'll understand that. guys and gals out there, when you train your game, okay, let's say you're my client. My average client, somebody older than 50, okay, usually 62, 63, they come to my golf school. They play golf for a long time, and they're a little frustrated with their game. Guess what? They're that toboggan person right there. They have created a rut for their swing. Okay, they're stuck in their beliefs, their physicality, the way their brain connects to their body. You want to talk fancy synapse, whatever you want to talk about. They've got that rut. There it is. How do you break from that rut into something that's fresh, getting into the fresh snow? Because I guarantee you, you take that toboggan back up that hill and set it in the snow, guess where it's going to go? It's going to follow the same track down the hill every single time. So the amazing thing, you know, producer Steve over here, we played in this charity event the other day. Okay, it was hysterically fun. Mama Striker, Stacy Chuck, CEO Jared, and producer Steve. Okay, we had a lot of fun. Jared made some putts, unbelievable putts. Like I want to say long putts. I'm going to say 75 feet, maybe 90 feet of putts. Okay, crazy, 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 crazy. Guy doesn't play any golf. Hit a couple bombs. Helped hit some good iron shots. Producer Steve, not so much. Now, producer Steve's in the room here, and I'm mocking him because he's right there, and he'll be in an episode, and we'll walk through this. Producer Steve is your typical, I shouldn't say typical, very physically talented guy, okay? Just solid dude, young guy that is going to be able to smash a golf ball, but still has a mental rut, stuck in whatever it is he thinks he's stuck in, okay? And his stuck is, you know, played a lot of baseball. He's waiting on this thing to come to him, to come to this position where he's going to take this handle and he's going to drag this baseball handle and hit a golf ball. Well, darn, if Steve didn't, you know, put a club down here and just kind of drag this thing through like this every single time, and man, if he didn't, I tell you what, good thing that homes were far enough off to the right, because it was the most consistently bad driving I've witnessed in a long time. These were rocket ships off to the right that, because he's strong and fast, these things left the earth at an escape velocity enough to bust through the atmosphere and go to, maybe there's golf balls on Mars right now, but I'm talking, if we were aiming here, these golf balls were going this way every single time. So what is that, you guys? That's consistent. He's wildly consistent. In fact, I've had a lot of you at my golf school wildly consistent. You know what the problem is? Your consistency doesn't make you happy. And that's what this episode's about, breaking through those plateaus, making the painful changes, and it is a painful change. If Steven was that dude I just spent time with in Austin, guess what? That would be changed. We spent 3 days, I'm talking this executive guy hired me to come out there. We had a lot of fun, and I hammered this guy for 3 days. And guess what? The guy's grip was nice. He could kind of play golf. He did a lot of things that were so pretty good. He was just trying to take, okay, I've got my 6 pars right here. How do I manage the other 12 that aren't disasters? That's what we worked on. Steven doesn't have 6 pars here yet. He's got to learn, okay, he's got to learn to get the toboggan to the hill, never mind get it down the hill. So some of the ruts we're talking about, okay? Let's go, here's a good example. Let's see which, let's play one of them. We'll talk about one of these gentlemen here, okay? So here's a guy, great guy. This is Dave from Ireland, okay? I'm not sure if it's Northern Ireland or Ireland, I forget which. But, you know, this guy loves golf. So he's got his wedge. Take a look at how open this face gets. So he's going to move his golf club back. He's created this very, very lofted face. He plays in a men's league at a local kind of a par 3 course. You know, it's a fun league. He loves it. They play Stapleford over there. Like, make a par, you get 2 points kind of thing. That club face is going back so open that it's going to be really, really hard. That thing is skyward right now, okay? The physicality of this move is actually quite good. But the problem is, he is now in the subconscious survival mode. This isn't conscious at this point. He's created a rut in the hill, and his body's trying to work hard to get this face square. And as a young guy in reasonably good shape here, he's doing a fairly good job. He's got to stall his body, and he's got to flash this open face into the golf ball. You know, so you see this on the other side now, the semi-face-on view. That thing looks like he's about to hit a flop shot, okay? That's the most lofted. The grip looks pretty good too. There's so much loft right there. This body's got to sort of stall. He's got to use some active hands to square the face. So, we can cut from that video. And if I was coaching this guy face to face, okay? I appreciate you guys sending in videos to #WhyYouSuck. And, they may pop up, we may use them in the show, so thank you for doing that. Dave from Ireland loves his golf. He plays in this league. He follows on social media. He's a golfing junkie like myself. He loves putting his outfits together and has a good time and posts his scores and stuff. But the thing is, I want Dave to be able to go enjoy golf at courses where you got a smash driver and hit an iron like way farther than just kind of knocking it around the tiny course with his mates, okay? So the thing is, somehow in his development, he's created a rut. He's taken this rut and he's got it to where this face has gotten wide open early in his backswing. So as a coach, what I'm going to do is, apparently he's watching too. Hey, Dave, what's up, buddy? So what I'm going to do as a coach is I'm going to try to break that rut. I'm going to challenge him as much as I can in order to get him away from it as fast as I can. And here's the thing. Once you're in that toboggan track down the hill, what I'm going to ask you to do sucks. It sucks. You're going to hate me. It's not going to feel good because your results right away, if coach says, spend 2 minutes with me, I'm going to make you better right away. If any coach can't do that, they're full of baloney. Because whatever your personal move is, and I'm telling you the truth here. Yeah, you may just change your grip and flush one, that'd be great. But you think that's going to stick with you for weeks and months and years moving on? It's not. You've got to train a new habit, right? So in Dave's case, Dave has a motion where he takes the face and wants to open it right away. I would rather his body prepare itself for hitting way stronger, longer shots. And so, drills for you, Dave. There's a vertical face. Ben Hogan wrote the great book, The Modern Fundamentals, right? He wrote that book in, I want to say, 51. I'm calling this show Modern Golf with Martin Chuck. Well, guess what? Everything's modern because it refers to something in the past and changing something in the future. Well, that's what Ben Hogan did, and that's what we're trying to do in the show a little bit. Now, here's an example for you, my man, thinking about this face. If you went and got the prettiest river rock, okay, the nice, shiniest, flattest, perfectly buffed up Mother Nature rock you could find that would fit right in that spot right there, and you thought, okay, that fits in there nice, and you got yourself a pond, think about how you would make this thing skip 10 times and beat your buddies in a stone skipping contest. You would take that, you'd kind of size up where the water was. Now the physical event of how you move would look something like this. Notice how the rock's going one way and I'm starting to go the other. That reciprocating motion's evident in most every athletic sport you're going to watch, okay? Whether it's throwing a football, baseball, those aren't sports playing in Ireland too much, but you get my point. But skipping stones, I'm sure you guys are like worldwide winners in skipping stones. Get that stone in mind. This sensation of while something's going back, you're going the other way. You're creating a whip effect right here, okay? You wouldn't take that stone. Let me see if I don't have a Frisbee handy. Usually I do. I'm going to use this yoga block. My dog is taking all my Frisbees. My dog Bella is the Frisbee dog now. So imagine there's my skipping stone. So I wouldn't take this skipping stone and rotate it a whole bunch and then try to do the same thing, because then I'm adding complexity to the simple act of trying to spin that thing so I can get it to skip nicely across the top of the water. Well, the complexity you're adding, Dave, is instead of the face that's pretty neutral in this event. Now I know you see, when you look at this face on, let's go face on and down the line, producer Steve. So when you see this golf club, it appears to have this rate of rotation because now it's no longer, that vector of the face is no longer pointing at the target line. It's got this rate of rotation. What it doesn't have is this extra confusion, extra change in where the face is pointing, because now I have to do something to square that face. So, by having that face vertical and feeling like we've got that stone in our hands here, and we're making this motion, I could take this skipping stone, I know I've got a shaft and a head on the other end of it right there, but as I make this move, I could make it and I could lay the face wide open, or I could make it and I could keep the face organized, and that's your job, is to let this club work through this space and keep it organized without having too much of this twist back your brain's gonna stall you and make you sort of fix it. And that stall is slowing down your potential speed, and that fix is the crazy face vector that may flash a golf ball anywhere. Okay, because tell you what, that's the crazy part of golf. That's the chaotic part. Everybody has chaos in the club face. The best players have the least amount of chaos. So coaching you, I would like to take that chaos away. Now, just be mindful of the left hand grip, because I'm not certain that you have it kind of nicely under the heel pad here, okay? And then as you're hitting these little shots, here's my skipping stone right there, that buffed up perfect river rock. I'm about to, now we're gonna put our trail hand on there, your right hand, my right hand, tip that over. Now I'm looking at that pond, I'm gonna skip that stone down there. Okay, and there's a nice little bullety shot. And I would hit these little 3/4 half shots, learning how to transport this angle with some pivot, just like I'm skipping a stone, rather than having chaos of a face that rotates. Okay, my friend? So to me, what I just talked about is the hashtag why you suck. And if you work through that, you're going to get way better. So hopefully that helps. Let's go to this next video. Good player, Midwest here, Midwestern guy, 4 handicapper. And so, you know, you 10 handicappers and 12 handicappers are going, man, I want to suck like this guy. You know, and this guy is pretty darn good right here. You know, so let's take a look at this as he kind of moves through his golf swing, you know, and I'm circling the hands because I see that what I always see is the grip and go. And this is something, and I see interesting footwork in the grip and go, okay? So you're going, man, this guy does a lot of things really well. I'm highlighting again the grip and go, and you'll see what I mean by that. This is the G and G, okay? GG, not George Gankis, but this is the grip and go. And you'll see how he kind of squeezes here. And then there's some footwork that's going to happen. Now here's what he does amazing. This is why he's a low handicap and hits a lot of good shots. This golf club, the face gets really strong at the top, which isn't a problem. You can manage that because that can just be managed with pivot. Okay, this is the opposite of Dave from Ireland. So there's a strong face, right? See that, Dave? Check that out, Dave. Okay, there's a strong face. That's not a twisted open face. This is a guy who's got a face that doesn't have a lot of instability in it. A generally nice looking delivery. Gets a little heel side. Okay, he's afraid of hitting the old Shankopotamus, the hosel rocket, right? Let's look at his impact here. It should play into that pretty shortly here. So I'm just kind of highlighting that he could potentially shank one of these. Now let's kind of go to, come on, face on. I put these, I load these videos in here, and I guess I'm a little slow on this deal. But there's a lot of good pieces here. Here we go to the face on. So why is he pretty good? Look where his hands are. Look at the expansion of where the shaft is, you know, and how he gets this thing into a nice impact position, and he moves through the ball really well. Cool, so let's talk about this guy. Good player, 4 handicapper. How do I get that toboggan down that 4 handicap rut and pop it over into something that could produce better results? Well, you know, you saw this big move with the feet here. Okay, I want you to watch the US Open today, and you tell me if you see this. You won't see that. You're not going to see this, toe clappers. You're going to see this. You're going to see a guy walk into a golf ball, get his good hands on it, pick the club up, waggle it one time. Maybe they have the club near the ball, but you're going to see a lot of this. You may even see a little one toe tap. Okay, let's see, Justin Rose. I'm trying to think who others. Some people have a cue in their feet to move their swing back. Everybody has a trigger. Justin Rose has one of these. I don't know that he's playing on the weekend, unfortunately. I don't think he is. But you're going to see guys put their club in their hands, start to create this radius. Now, a 4 handicap still has a massive amount he can improve. Think about it. A tour player spends a ton of time with quality coaches. They spend the most time with their coaches, right? The amateur golfers, you guys maybe, you know, go see your pro for 1 hour here, maybe a month later or 2 weeks later, maybe another lesson here, but you don't do a really immersive coaching event, okay? That's what golf school is. That's what I do at my golf school in Phoenix. It's immersive. We have you for 3 days. We get on you about these patterns for 3 days, okay? My glaring eyes are on you. My watchful coaches are glaring. We walk around glaring at you, okay? Just so you're constantly aware of what the pattern break has to be for you to get better. So this good playing Midwestern fella, okay, he has this grip and go. So he steps in here, he goes ba-dee-da-dee with the feet, And then his first move is squeezy, 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 go. Okay? First thing my coach taught me, George Newton, when I was a little kid, we're not going to do that, young Marty. We're going to get the club in our hands, son. We're going to get the club off the ground. We're going to waggle it. And then there's going to be, you want to get your hands comfy, go ahead. But there's no, I can't grip it from when it's up in the air because I'll drop it. So now you're starting to govern the weight of the club in your hands. Way better, and way better for training in the feeling when you need it. Not when you're standing on a range, when you hit 10 7-irons in a row. Because let's face it, I could plunk into a range and do whatever I want. I get into this just pattern of hitting 7-irons. On a golf course, you don't get that. You walk up, you evaluate your lie. Maybe there's some slope to it. Maybe the ball's above your feet. Maybe it's below your feet, okay? That's why when you get your good hands on the club and you pick it up, and a lot of good players don't even know they do this. They don't even know they've taught themselves to do this. When I say good, I'm talking really good, of getting the club off the ground and waggling. Because say the ball was up here. Say it's on some funky hill. I'm not going to rest the club on the hill and then grab it. I'm going to have it as a part of my body. Same in a fairway bunker. The rules don't let me ground the club. So when I get in a fairway bunker, do I want to freak my whole system out by not being comfortable doing this? When the ball's on a hill, do I want to freak my whole system out because, am I going to grip and go when the ball's up here? I don't think so, right? So let's train in the behaviors that are going to help you get from the 4 handicap to maybe a sandbagging 4 handicap. Ooh, wouldn't that be great? A 4 handicap that can go to any club in town and be a sandbagger. That's a good player right there. I love me some 4 handicaps. I can go shoot 69 from time to time, not on a different golf course. Now, a bit more technique. How will this fella get way better? Big guy, gets the club on the ball, gets the hosel a little bit close to the ball. For you shankopotamuses out there, think about this. The old shank, okay? If I take this aim stick, put this bad boy right here on my target line. Let's talk about the old shank. I'm not afraid to say it either. Shank, 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 shank. Okay? I may hit one a year. If I do, I just hope it doesn't go into a pond or out of bounds. Don't really care. But, why would it be that we don't get the sweet spot on the ball? Couple reasons, okay? 3. There's 3. Think about this. Maybe there's 4, but there's 3 that I can think of, okay? If this club, if the hula hoop of my swing, you guys, crisscrosses that red line excessively. So here's one that's crisscrossing, okay? If that club crisscrosses, you run the chance of that hosel hitting the ball, whether it's 2 inside out or 2 outside in. You've got the whole golf club is getting either outside the golf ball line, the 0 line I call it, the target line, and the club face has to find its way into the ball, and it might clip the neck if it doesn't. Okay, you might get a hosel from being too much this way. You might get a hosel from being too much inside out. Okay, there's 2. Or you might get a hosel, okay, not from standing too close to the ball. Like I love that one. People say, "Oh, Martin, I'm shanking it, so I'm going to get a little farther away from it." There you go. No, that's not how you're going to fix it, right? And so, if you're too close to it, are you going to shank it? I don't think so, because people always say this. Let me put 3 golf balls down here. So again, this is one of those paradigm things, right? Or one of those thoughts in your head. So I have 3 golf balls. Which one's the correct one for me to hit? You guys are watching. Maybe you have a preference. Maybe it's if I don't move my feet, so my feet will stay the same distance from this barber pole here, the red and white pole. This is pretty close, I'm not going to lie. Okay? Obviously the screen says too many balls. I'm not going to move my feet. Maybe this one over here is, I'll hit this middle one so I don't accidentally, so maybe maybe that's the right one. Or maybe it's this one. So which one of those 3 was the correct one for me to hit? They were all in the right place. Why? Because the club didn't excessively travel outside in or inside out, excessively. When you hit a golf ball, golfers, only half of this face, half of it, should travel on the outside of that 0 line, of that target line. If you have too much excessive path, inside or outside in, you run the risk of potentially shanking it. And here's the final reason. If you don't manage your pelvis properly, okay? Managing your pelvis properly, and this is this fella a little bit, okay? If he's getting his toes up and his weight back, his pelvis is back. Let's get the pelvis a bit more on top of the feet to where you can do some heel taps. Now, and a pelvis has to stay put. We don't want the pelvis thrusting, because if the pelvis thrusts, the whole golf club, as you can see in the right screen, tends to shift outward. Well, guess what? You don't have a whole lot of room right here. This club face is only 3 inches. It's got a really effective hitting area, even on these awesome Hondas, by the way, product placement spot. TR20V's best irons I've ever hit. Anyway, if you take this and you shove your pelvis forward, now you could hit this on the neck. So we have to learn how to make sure we're in balance, and that's where little knee flexes and heel taps, not hanging back here in toe taps. Because if I'm hanging back here, guess what? Dynamically, I'm probably going to find balance. And if I feel good statically and I move into this place, I'm probably going to have my hosel in the way more often than not. So, Midwestern good striker, a couple things for you. Let's get you club in hand, and for you shankers, hopefully that little bit helped. Let's get club in hand, let's get some heel taps. Feel like your pelvis is on top of your feet, not way back to where your butt's hanging beyond your heels, okay? Now, the club's off the ground in a nice waggly thing. And the only other thing I'd say to that guy, you don't suck, you're really good. But let's make sure that in the backswing you don't elevate too much, because if we elevate too much, we have to have too much mass going downward, and then we can't have the corresponding up pieces that make the bottom of the swing nice and mild. We don't want too much down. We don't want big, thick divots. We want the corresponding feels of impact to be harmonious. There's a nice word for me on a Saturday morning. So we're not going to feel like we get too tall in the backswing, nice and centered. And we can hit some nice flushy shots out there. So the Why You Suck segments, thank you guys for in some videos, and hopefully you find that to be helpful. Little breakthroughs, mental ones, hurdles. What are we going to do to help you guys break through, and gals? Sorry if I say guys all the time. You know who I mean. I love you gals too. I want you to consider the pain and challenge of breaking through that habit. Okay? You've got, what is exactly is a successful student? A successful student to me is somebody that's not afraid to recognize that they've got maybe this rut in the snow that the toboggan gets stuck in, okay? And then it is to say, I am going to break that habit via coaching, whether it's, your coach at home or coming to see our team at the Tour Striker Golf Academy. And then the way we like to do it, we break it into 2 things. We call it priming and performance, okay? Priming is back here behind the golf ball. Priming is what I do when I'm making my, quote, practice swings. If you've had some coaching, maybe you're working on some behavior like this Dave from Ireland. Maybe he's going to prime in a waggle that isn't something that rolls the face open. Maybe he's going to prime in wrist structure that keeps the face pretty square. So if he was back here, club off the ground, and he primed in this behavior, and maybe he took a little practice swing, and then he walked into his shot, that's priming success. We call it cellophane. Okay, so think about this. He does that one time. That is one piece of cellophane. You pull it off the roll, you use those sharp metal things, you tear it, and it bundles up, and you turn to fix it, and you try to wrap it around your tuna sandwich to keep it fresh, right? That's one piece. So this is one piece of cellophane. He did it one time. He trained his wrist behavior to keep the face nice and square rather than rolly. Okay, he did it once. Perfect. So now you take that one piece of cellophane. Now every shot, before you prime before you perform. That's one piece of cellophane. Okay, he's going to play his par 3 course with his buds. So every shot he's telling his jokes. Ha ha ha. Okay, Ian. Oh yeah, sure, buddy. Yep, I know. You told me that before. And then he walks in and he hits his shot. Well, guess what? As he's having fun yammering at his pals, he's priming in a different wrist condition, one where he's getting ready to skip that stone rather than rolling that face open. So every time he walks in after priming and hits a shot, good, bad, or indifferent, he is making a different groove in the snow. He's taking that cellophane, priming, and he's starting to pop that one on top of the other. Pretty soon, one becomes 10. 10 becomes 40, 40 becomes 500. And now you've got this thick thing of cellophane that you can't pull apart with one little tear. Now it's it's something that you've started to train in. And you train it in before you hit every shot. This is how you bridge in practice on the range to play. Now the fellow from the Midwest, okay, priming move. The fellow from the Midwest can be behind the golf ball here. Maybe he just consciously picks the club up, gets it off the ground and waggles from here. And then maybe he does a couple of heel taps in a practice swing where he feels like his lead shoulder works a bit more down so it can push a bit more up. And then he walks in, and that took what? How many seconds did that take? A few? Nothing. Okay, so this mindfulness in this zone over here, before you walk in to hit it, is the priming way to kind of put one piece of cellophane on top of the next piece of cellophane, on top of the next piece of cellophane, to where eventually, guess what? You've created a new habit. And it doesn't have to be some crazy, people don't even know you're doing it, okay? You don't have to look like, trying to think of the tour player that does these unbelievable practice swings when he plays on tour. Not Matthew Wolff. I'm talking about this European dude. Anyway, it doesn't come to mind right now. But this little priming moment is how you bridge what you've done on the range to how you get to the course. Now be careful on the range. On the range itself, you can get in a massive rut, okay? You can stand there and hit a bunch of 7-irons. Okay, Jackson Chuck got in a massive rut. He, obviously we have a golfing dojo. He can come into and hit balls, and he puts on his, he's a pretty spoiled little kid. He's a great little kid, but he's got a lot of advantages, obviously. But he got into hitting balls off of a mat, okay? Hitting too many balls off of a mat, you get this kind of false positive. You don't necessarily have to hit the ball nicely. You can kind of skip into the thing. You feel like hey, I'm hitting it perfect. No, you're not hitting it perfect, right? So we have to really be aware of practice. If you can get off the mat and get on turf, right? So if you're on mats, make sure that you know where you're touching this thing. Sometimes it's good just to lay a towel back here. Give yourself about 3 inches between the back of the ball and the edge of the towel. The towel lays back here, just to make sure your swing circle is in the right place, okay? So bridging from priming to performance is not that hard, but it's also that it's the mental diligence to do the right thing, okay? So those two, that's a good example. The fella in Austin this week, his primer was pretty easy. This was his practice swing. He would make these 3 quick little, motions with his head down, and he's thinking he's doing himself a favor right here. So he changed it very much to something slower and more focused on getting his buns up underneath him, rotating, getting his heart to the sky. So, as you get a little older, and he wasn't that old, he's just a few years older than me, but it was like he was kind of living in forward flex. He didn't kind of push himself off the ground. Now, I had to explain it to him 100 times because he couldn't believe the earth wasn't flat. He's like, no way, man, you just got to keep your head down, you just got to hit down on it. I'm like, no, it's not what happens. Yeah, there's down in golf, this thing goes down. Gravity helps us do that. Yep, we have a middle, so there's some radius, there's no question. But we don't want everything going down, 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 down. You're going to chunk it. You're not going to have a reliable impact. We need to kind of offset those pieces. And then I started to explain, when you're standing up and then you bend over, shoulders kind of work. One goes down, one goes up. The left shoulder goes up, one goes down. Well, that left one going up kind of pulls this rope, kind of helps take this plane from a crash landing situation and gets it to pass through the bottom nice and level, to have consistency. That word nobody does, right? We just want to have some reliability, not consistency. We want to kind of understand where our golf ball is going to go and where it's going to miss. And so that was a big part of kind of helping him too. He thought good players just hit it down the middle all the time. They don't. I was proof to that. Okay, I hit some good ones, of course, I hope so. And I hit some squirrely ones. But if I hit some squirrely ones, I could go figure out a way to get it by the green. Oh, and by the way, use some supporting skills to maybe get it close to the hole and get it in, maybe add another par in this pocket. So golfers, let's take a look at what your habits are, why you plateau. Let's be honest. Is it 3-putt avoidance? Is it short game deficiencies? Can't get out of a bunker to really save your life? Could be that, right? Are you way too aggressive when you hit a bad shot off the tee? I see a ton of 15 handicappers that think they're better than Tiger Woods in the trees, when Tiger Woods is going to chip it in the fairway and make a conservative play from there, y'all are trying to go, I have a gap. I see it. I see it. And then, oh, there goes the ball, right? And then you make an 8. Okay, so it's about management. So the less successful students, I'm going to tease you guys, okay? You guys are the students that come see me, and I get a lot of head nodding. I get a lot of this. This is great. And I'm like, okay, you're looking at me. And then there's no pain. There's no suffering from you guys. And I'm only joking when I say pain and suffering, but I'm telling you, get the toboggan off of that rut is pain and suffering. It's mindful. And the mindful part's not that bad when you do it like I showed earlier. Get into this priming place. If you're working on shoulder pitch or you're working on a grip change, this is where you do it. Just seconds before you hit a shot. Put it in, make a little motion toward a golf ball. Stand back here. Put in your yoga breath. Walk in and hit one, miss one, or do whatever, but you've got to suffer the change. Or you're just fooling yourself and you're not going to get any better. Let's face it. So, mental stuff. Suffering pleasantly, the false belief of improvement. The improvement, guys, you're going to see it. You're going to see it in your scorecard. Shocking, right? You're going to be like, I get a lot of students that will send me a picture of a scorecard, and I've had a bunch recently. It's been awesome. Hey, Martin, I won this one lovely gal from Portland sent me this picture of her trophy, okay? She's going to be a stud. That's for certain, okay? She can smash it. Her hubby's a golfaholic. They're going to be quite the golf family. She's going to get lots of these trophies. She has pleasantly suffered through a couple of golf schools. When I say pleasantly suffered, lots of laughs and maybe a tear, but lots of laughs and lots of energy and effort to do things differently than she did it. And that's the beauty of it. A lot of grip, a lot of routine. I tell you what, this with routine, it was to the point where I took a spray paint can and I even spray painted on the ground a walk-in routine for her to stand behind the golf ball, walk in, stand on what we call 0, set a right foot into position number 1, which is just a little position 1 where we can tip over and get our club face and hands onto a ball. And then that's position 2. Position 3 is placing left foot onto the little circle. Position 4 is dropping it back. And then waggle, waggle. There's those little knee taps, okay? There's the waggle, waggle. Guess where the club is? It's off the ground. And then go. So she went into this routine of walking through this like dance steps, Fred Astaire dance class, right, to where it went from wildly conscious to, hey, you know what? This is starting to become part of me, part of my subconscious behavior. And that's what we're trying to do. When we say suffer, suffering is just the conscious thought of everything. Okay, here's the step 1, making sure my left hand's on okay. And don't think I don't even come back and do this consciously all the time. I do. But here's the conscious thoughts. That's trained in there because I do it so often. The great Jack Nicklaus every season would go back and see Jack Grout, his coach, and he would say, okay, Jack, wipe the slate clean, teach me how to play golf again. The great Jack Nicklaus. So you know where Jack Grout started? With Jack Nicklaus's grip. So and I'm talking when he was 35, 40, not when he was like 12. So they'd go back and they'd say, okay, let's walk in. This is Jack Nicklaus. Let's show me your routine. And Jack would do what Jack did amazing. He would kind of walk in here. He would stand just like almost the same way I taught this young lady from Portland how to do it. And then he'd set the club in, aim in the face, set his feet. And Jack Nicklaus had the prettiest waggle in golf, pretty much this. Weight pressure, knee flexes, a moment, and then you could see his attention just go to the ball. Amazing, right? Watch Jack Nicklaus on YouTube. It's crazy, okay? These crazy eyes go right onto the ball. But it all comes from this amazing waggle and this sense of calm, and then he hits a shot. So what I'm trying to do with you guys and gals, okay, the plateau, why you suck, okay? You suck because we don't have this priming to performance stage. We don't suffer consciously long enough to go unconscious. And that's the thing. We don't want to be over a golf ball thinking of 48 things, but you have to be over a golf ball thinking of something. We don't just turn our brain off, right? You can't go, I play mindless golf. That is rubbish. We have a thought or two, but we don't have 10, right? The thought might be a simple thought. It might be just the kind of the button that gets the car started. It might be just your little trigger move with your legs. It might be the picture of your target not leaving your head. I'll tell you, when I hit wedge shots, the thing that stays in my mind the most is when I'm over a wedge shot and I'm looking down at a golf ball, I take a look at the pin and I feel like it's like a Kodak camera. When I turn my head and I look, I go, and I take a picture. And when I look down at the golf ball, the frame of reference of where the pin is that I can no longer see, if I don't know exactly where it is, I'll take another picture. Usually I only have to take just one. But I want to know where the pin is before I swing the golf club. Because if it's kind of moving out there, and I know that sounds crazy, but remember in golf, we're looking down at a golf ball, we have to have a reference of where we're going. It's almost like I want you to have a third eye, looking at the target. Well, that mental imagery of where the target is, that's kind of my trigger. I take a look, once I have a burned in image, and not only an image, a placement. And you'll know what I mean. Go do this if you go play golf. Go do this if you go hit some balls today. Pick your target out there. Get over your golf ball. Okay? Take a look. Know where it is. And if you come back to the golf ball and then you've lost that relationship of where it is, and you'll know what I mean. If you kind of look down, you go, oh, where to go? You'll know right where to put that thing mentally off in the distance. And if you do that, your body responds to it. Okay? It's kind of fun. And it's another fun drill we do at the golf school too is we'll take golf balls, have a student close his eyes, and if other students are standing out there, and so maybe Bob's over there and Bob says, hey, well, you have a sound, so you know right where to, with your eyes closed, you know right where to throw the ball within reason. And then, Steve over here says, hey, and you throw the ball to Steve. Well, we don't have the sound to respond to. That's why you have to really get good at tying in images. The fella in Austin, okay, back to this guy, helping develop his game, he'd walk into a golf, he'd take a look, he'd walk in, he'd take one quick look, he'd be down here, and he'd be fiddling, then he'd hit it. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? He'd go, oh, what do you mean? And this guy could lose a lot of golf balls. I'd say, you're not taking enough pictures of the target. What do you mean, Martin? Well, first off, when you walk in here and you want to aim the face where you want the ball to start. So let's aim the face where we want the ball to start. So to do that, we're kind of taking a look. And then do you have this image that's really, really concrete in your head that's out there? I know you're looking down, but can you connect to it and know where it is? Because you got to kind of know where it is that you want to squeeze that ball off the face and know where that thing is rather than just kind of hitting into the abyss. So teaching people those little nuances, and that's why golf school is great. We have every level of golfer. We have the level of golfer, all we do is kind of teach them how to put their hands on and walk into a shot. We have the really good golfer who just wants to get 3 days of practice in with high-level coaches watching them that are refining usually one thing, maybe two, right? So you have a nice mixed bag of people. It's nice to see the newbie golfer watching the experienced golfer develop, and it's nice, and I know that as an experienced golfer, I get a kick out of watching new golfers get better. And they love watching you. If you're a good golfer watching this, don't think that the higher handicaps don't enjoy watching your routine of how you hit shots because they want to be you. They want to have their handicap go from 18, 19, 28, 29 down to something very cool to where they can break 80 and maybe even challenge par. Now, some people don't have the physicality for that, but you can help them just don't even say what you're doing, just explain routine. How you walk into a golf shot, how you have a frame of reference for the target, move the weight of the club with some speed to do that. So, homework today, you guys. Let's talk about how you're going to break your habits, how you're going to bust through that plateau, okay? I want you to do this. I want you to do this for me, and we're going to tie this into a little contest, okay? I want you guys out there, and I'm asking for homework. Not many people are going to do this because it requires work. 2 scorecards, okay? I'm going to give away something cool. I don't know what it is yet. We've got a lot of cool giveaways, whether it's a Tour Striker product. Okay, I've got some of those. We've got this crazy contest from Hanma coming up. 3 weeks of giveaways starting September 21st. I'm talking drivers, iron sets, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of really cool gear. Okay, so you need to check my Instagram like every day starting September 21st. If you want some really cool stuff, you need to do that. But here's your homework. I want you to, okay, and you're gonna post this, and if you don't have an Instagram account, they're free, get one, okay? Follow Martin Chuck PGA. Now here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take 2 pictures of your scorecard, and hopefully you get 2 rounds in. And just highlight where the good things with a check mark and where it didn't work out. Start to see the pattern here. Is it chip on 3 putts? Okay, that's a huge no-no. Was it a reasonable mediocre wedge shot to a centered pin that shouldn't be that dangerous? Did we lose a shot? Because if we're, say, 30 yards off the green and we got a fairly easy pin and it takes us more than 3 to get down, okay, which is basically a bogey, right? We lost a shot. Now, I'm going to try to help you learn how not to lose that. I'm going to try to teach you how to save that shot. I don't save it every time. I don't get up and down every time. But I give myself a chance most of the time. Sometimes I'll stuff it for a mindless tap in, that's great. But usually I'll hit a reasonable pitch to where I've got a fighting chance at a 8-footer, 10-footer, 12-footer. I want you to have more fighting chances. So let's identify on your scorecard. Go through your card. It might be a 90, it might be an 82, it might be 104. If it's some crazy drive that went out of play, make little notes. You can put on there, one scorecard, a couple things. I want to see that. And if I get inundated with that, fine, I'll deal with that, okay? Post those in your feed, okay? No, I'm sorry, in your story. Tag Martin Chuck PGA. I will scroll through those and take a look. This is only for this week though, okay? And then whoever sends me 2 cards with a couple of notes on there that I can use in next week's episode, you are going to win something cool. I'll do a draw, and the draw will be legit. I'll put everybody in a hat, and we'll go like this. Oh, random dude, here you go. Random lady, here you go. Congrats. All these raffles that I do, I have no idea who's winning these. I'm just happy they are. And some people say, oh, that's rigged. And to whoever says that's rigged, you know what? I'm banning you because that's not rigged. It's baloney. And if you get your panties in a wad or underwear stuck up somewhere because you say that and you didn't win, because there's 100 people, 200 people that entered. So all it is a nice opportunity for somebody to win something. So let's win something. I want you to get better. To get better, let's identify what it is that's wrong. Is the driver a complete disaster? Do you have no face control? Does your pelvis move the club all over the place to where you have, we call this the water hose technique, right? I suffer from that. So I'm constantly working on bettering myself there too. So let's have this little challenge, okay? I'll post it in my Instagram too, some further rules. Martin Chuck PGA is my personal Instagram. Tour Striker Golf is the product Instagram, okay? And that's where we do a lot of product posts. So this week, busting through that plateau of improvement, we cannot fool ourselves on what it is we do wrong, okay? Sometimes students say to me, Martin, that's uncomfortable. I'll say, good, now I've got you right where I want you. We've got to be uncomfortable anytime we're making a change. Let's be honest with ourselves. If we want to go just play golf to play golf and smack it around, I adore those people that don't mind playing terrible golf. I really do. I'm amazed. Good for you. I can't do it. Okay, that would bother me. But I love when I see people say, no, I shoot 110 and I just have a great time having fun and popping a few beers and telling stories. That's awesome. I can't do that. I guess my competitive nature wants to feel the ball hit the middle of the face and see putts roll in. And I guess the challenge of every shot is sort of why I play golf. And I think a lot of people are like me. It's sort of why you play golf. Man, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. Yeah, you can do this. You can organize yourself in such a way that, guess what? The odds are pretty good that you can do it, right? So anyway, I'm going to close up this week. Your homework, that's your homework. 2 scorecards, okay? In your story, tag Martin Chuck. And if you want to write a few little notes on there, go ahead. I'll scroll through those. Somebody's going to win a cool prize. That I assure you. Now, who's going to do that? That's more of the question, right? Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to win something cool. Anyway, the U.S. Open, right? Get yourself in your couch. Get your bag of tater chips right here. Get yourself a cold beverage right here. Woo! Let's go U.S. Open this week. I am so pumped. It's exciting. The rough is now Hey, normally you can't see people's shoes. Now you're not going to see their knees. I love it. And the greens are going to get fast. It's going to get crazy. So put your seatbelt on and your chin strap. It's going to be a fun week of U.S. Open golf. I want to thank my sponsors, Nike. Yes, Nike duds. Hanma, it's coming up this week. 21 days of Hanma giveaways. Launching their TR20 series and 21 series. Unbelievable gear. Okay, I'm not saying that because I'm sponsored by them. I mean, okay, I'm saying that because I'm sponsored by them. But listen, this stuff is fantastic. I am gushing over the equipment. It is amazing. If you haven't bought irons, you need to check out this TR20s, okay? And the X is coming out, stupidly good. For like that, 8 to 18 handicapper, the distance performance iron, magnificent. The gamer iron, they got a blade that's gorgeous. I didn't get the blade, I got the TR20Vs, cavity back, Japanese forgings. I don't know what, they must have like a shaman kind of going over the metal because it feels so good. And I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, you hit these, you will love them, okay? Foresight Golf, even roll putters. Okay, I feel like I'm a NASCAR guy now. But you guys have a great day. I will see you next week. U.S. Open, baby. Martin Chuck signing off, flushing a little 8-iron down there. Let's see how we do. Oh, yeah. Get in the hole. Bye for now.